So this is for the Yuris Night 2011 Golden Anniversary of Human Spaceflight video interview. We'll begin. Please introduce yourself and your affiliation.
Hi, my name is Alan Stern and I'm with the Southwest Research Institute.
How has the first 50 years of human spaceflight changed society?
You know, I thought about that question when I read them beforehand, and I actually came to the conclusion that for most people in society, the first 50 years of human spaceflight haven't made a very big impact. I think the first 10 years did, but it's so far back that the period of Apollo and rapid expansion in human spaceflight isn't even in most people's memory. So, despite the fact that I'm a huge fan of human spaceflight in all forms and wouldn't want to live in a world without it, I actually think it's been disappointing. That for considering that it's been 50 years and comparing it, for example, to 50 years of aviation development or computer development, and even accounting for the fact that spaceflight's hard, we've been stuck in a pretty good cul-de-sac which has really minimized its impact the first 50 years. So I actually, thinking about that as a golden anniversary, am sort of disappointed.
What do you envision the next 50 years of human spaceflight to be like?
Way better. I'm very optimistic about the next 50 years. I think that now with the birth of commercial spaceflight and the proliferation of spaceflight systems for human flight from suborbital to orbital and maybe even beyond Earth orbit, plus the proliferation across the globe to other sovereign nations that can today take on spaceflight in one form or another, participating in the ISS, for example, or in the near future, having their own orbital systems, as some countries have said they want to be able to field their own human orbital systems. I think it's going to go very quickly compared to the last 30 or 40 years, and that the second 50 years of human spaceflight will be much more exciting than the first 50.
How did you get your start in the space industry?
I started as a summer intern at Johnson Space Center, and I did that for 2 summers, and worked in mission control and worked on EVA procedures. I got to fly in the zero-G airplane quite a bit, and I never thought I'd do anything else after that. I was in love with it.
Could you say a few words for people around the world that will be celebrating Yuris Night 2011, the golden anniversary of human spaceflight?
Sure. I would say to you, celebrating Yuris Night, cheers, congratulations. Don't forget this moment. The golden anniversary only comes once, but fasten your seatbelts because the next 50 years will be, I think, a lot more exciting and a lot more important to the long-term development of human spaceflight. I like to say today, in 2011, this is where Star Trek begins.
Okay, we'll go through some of the secondary ones now. What is the source of your passion for space exploration?
I think my passion in space exploration is rooted in the fact that it's cutting edge, it's very promising for the future of humankind, and it's all new. And I think those are an irresistible combination.
What space figure do you most admire?
Not a single individual, but I most admire those who've shown unusual persistence to advance spaceflight, whether it's Robert Goddard, who no one believed you could make a rocket fly in the vacuum, and no one had pioneered liquid propulsion before him, or James Webb, who actually sold the moon program and then saw it through, or the billionaire entrepreneurs who are today, in the face of a lot of withering criticism, actually making a future for human spaceflight.
How do you think we can best educate the public about space and get them involved?
We can fly them in space. I don't think there's any substitute for that. The sooner and the wider actual spaceflight, not pretend, not movies about it, not stories from a few people who have flown in space, but the actual proliferation of spaceflight proceeds, the more people will like it and the more they'll want of it.
Do you plan on going into space?
A whole lot.
What piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to get involved in the space industry?
I would advise somebody that wants to go in the space industry to learn as much as you can about it and see where it best intersects your interests. And find the place where your passion intersects with space, whether it's on the business side or science, or as a test pilot, or an artist, or a writer, or an attorney, or an engineer, what have you. Find out what you like best and where that intersects spaceflight, because when you have a passion for something, you generally can excel at it and rise to the top a lot easier. And so the trick, if you're enamored with spaceflight, is to find where your interests and your talents intersect and then go after it and don't let go.
Great, thanks.